expansion of its military drills in Belarus. Ukraine is surrounded on three sides by roughly 150,000 Russian soldiers. Speaking on Face the Nation, Secretary of State Antony Blinken confirmed troops are expected to move in soon.
Decision we believe President Putin has made to invade is moving forward. We've seen that with provocations created by the Russians or separatist forces over the weekend, false flag operations. Now the news just this morning that the quote-unquote exercises Russia was engaged in Belarus with 30,000 Russian forces that were supposed to end this weekend will now continue because of tensions in eastern Ukraine.
The invasion orders come one day after Russia's military tested several nuclear weapons. Charlie D'Agata has the latest from Ukraine.
The Russian military on full flex in the most elaborate show of force since this crisis began. Testing hypersonic and ballistic missiles as part of nuclear exercises under the watchful eye of President Putin himself. From long-range bombers by air to submarine launches in the Black Sea and by land to Belarus, where troops are edging ever closer to the Ukrainian border, described by the U.S. Defense Secretary as uncoiling and poised to strike. In eastern Ukraine itself, an artillery bombardment sent soldiers and journalists scrambling for cover, including further back, us.
Okay, so there have just been a couple of explosions. The kids are running, and we've been told to get into our buses now. We are as close as we can get to the front lines. And this just shows you how dynamic the situation is here.
Commanders told us the ongoing conflict here suddenly took a dramatic turn on Thursday when Russian-backed rebels intensified the shelling of Ukrainian military positions and civilian areas alike.
The whole front line, which we think that just another confirmation that it's orchestrated by Russia.
And you had seen nothing like this in the past few years?
Yeah, nothing like this.
Separatist leaders have ordered the evacuation of women, children, and the elderly to Russia, they say, for their own safety. Residents turned refugees now used as weapons in a propaganda war.
Ukrainian commanders tell us that the increase in shelling and spreading panic among the civilian population are aimed at inventing or provoking the excuse President Vladimir Putin needs in order to justify an invasion. Meg?
Charlie D'Agata on the ground for us. Thank you. For more, we're joined by CBS News senior national security correspondent David Martin. David, you reported that Russian troops have been given orders to invade Ukraine. How are Ukrainian forces prepared to respond?
Well, Ukrainian forces don't have very many options because what is almost certainly going to happen is that any attack is going to be preceded by cyber attacks, which take communications off the net. And so the Ukrainian forces aren't going to be able to talk to each other, aren't going to be able to maneuver when they come under attack. But let me go back to the order you mentioned. I want to be clear about this. A U.S. official told me that the intelligence clearly indicates that Russian commanders, Russian units in the field, have received orders to proceed with a full-scale invasion. That does not mean that the final go order has been given and everything from here on proceeds on automatic. What it means is that units already in their attack positions are now being told to prepare to cross what the military calls line of departure, and that is essentially the border between Russia and Ukraine. And commanders on the ground, Russian commanders, are now figuring out exactly how they intend to maneuver in their sector of the battlefield.
David, thousands have evacuated eastern Ukraine after increased shelling this weekend, which we saw from Charlie's report. Are more people expected to flee if Russia invades?
Well, the estimates on the number of refugees go into the millions, 1 to 5 million, if it is a full-scale invasion. Right now, the evacuations are coming in that eastern section of Ukraine called the Donbass. But if Russia does indeed attempt to take down the whole country, then people will be fleeing from other parts of Ukraine as well, into Poland, into Romania, and it will be a humanitarian disaster.
an extraordinary evacuation, 1 to 5 million possible. David, French President Macron spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin today and discussed the possibility of a ceasefire. What can you tell us about that conversation?
Well, I don't know anything about what was actually said between the two leaders, but a ceasefire is probably not the solution to this issue. I mean, it might stop things from degenerating further, but Putin's demands are not for a ceasefire. Putin's demands are for a guarantee that Ukraine never be allowed to join NATO, and that all the American forces that are in the eastern parts of NATO have to be withdrawn to the countries they were in before the end of the Cold War, all of which the United States and NATO have said are non-negotiable. So a ceasefire, we're all for ceasefires, but that is not the solution to this crisis.
All right, national security correspondent David Martin for us. Thank you.
Sure thing.